Welcome to class, everyone. I'm your Lao Shi, and I am absolutely thrilled to guide you through today's masterclass. For my bilingual Singaporean students tuning in, we are embarking on something really special. Today, we're completely moving away from rote to painful memorization, and we're diving deep into the living, breathing anatomy of Chinese characters. We're going to learn language through a story you all know, the epic legend of Mulan. By looking closely at the visual elements of these characters, we are going to unlock exactly how they work. Okay, let's jump right into this.
Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to follow Mulan's exact path through 5 phases: the call to duty, enduring the harsh journey, the heat of battle, a triumphant return, and finally, the ultimate hero.
So let's start with part 1, the call to duty, stepping up for family.
The entire foundation of Mulan's legend, and really our vocabulary journey today, starts right here with her absolute devotion to her father. Our first word is 吃苦. 吃苦. Notice those exact tones. First tone 吃, third tone 苦. 吃苦. I want you to visualize what this means. The literal translation is to eat bitterness. Think about that for a second. In Chinese culture, enduring hardship isn't just something that happens to you. It's something you actively consume and process. Now let's look at the visual anatomy of ku. Do you see that top part? That is the grass radical. And right beneath it is the symbol for ancient, gu. Originally, this character actually depicted an ancient, bitter-tasting plant. So when Mulan sets out, she is preparing to literally eat that bitter plant. Once you see that visual anchor, the mnemonic for enduring hardship becomes pretty much impossible to forget. Once she makes that tough choice, she has to leave her old life entirely behind. This brings us to Ru Jun Ying. We have the fourth tone Ru, first tone Jun, and second tone Ying. This is the exact defining moment of her transformation from a devoted daughter into a disciplined soldier. Notice how the language perfectly captures the elements of her disguise. Take a look at the word for military uniform, junjuang. Hidden right at the very bottom of zhuang is the visual root for clothing, yi. Now look at 戴头巾, meaning to wear a headscarf. The right side of jin is the literal radical for a cloth or towel. And how does she travel? She rides a horse, qi ma. The character qi actually has the literal horse radical ma, right there on the left side driving it forward. Finally, look at the character Ru in Ru Junyang. Doesn't it look exactly like a sharp wedge or an arrowhead piercing the entrance of the camp gate? The strokes literally tell the story.
Moving right along to part 2, enduring the harsh journey, surviving the elements.
So Mulan is in the camp, but the reality of a soldier's life is absolutely grueling. Our vocabulary now shifts to describe the miles and the elements she had to march through. First, let's talk about the small miseries. Wen Chong Ding, second tone, first tone. This translates to mosquito bite. It sounds completely minor, right? But as any of you who have done national service here in Singapore know for sure, these small incessant annoyances out in the field quickly compound into profound suffering.
Take a look at the character Ding, Ding. On the left, we have a mouth, and on the right, a literal metal nail. The mnemonic is just perfect here. A bug bite out in the wild feels exactly like a tiny mouth driving a metal nail right into your skin. Ouch! And this constant stinging pain transitions us directly to the deeper suffering of Jian, meaning hardships. The character Xin originally depicted a branding iron or a chisel used on prisoners. It is the ultimate visual symbol of deep, bitter suffering. Beyond the insects, there's the brutal weather. Listen to the poetic rhythm of this 4-character idiom. 风吹雨打, 风吹雨打. First, third tone. It means to be beaten by wind and rain. I really want you to imagine the sheer harshness of that freezing northern weather just bearing down on Mulan.
Let's break down these natural world radicals to really grasp this idiom. Look at the word for fierce wind, guangfang. The action of blowing, trei, clearly contains the mouth radical right there on the left. Then we have snowflakes, xuehua. If you look really closely at the bottom part of xue, snow, it actually represents a hand sweeping away the frozen rain. And finally, the da in our idiom. It features the hand radical, showing that the rain is hitting so hard it literally feels like it is physically striking you.
Which brings us to part 3, the heat of battle. Mulan at war. After years of grueling marching, Mulan finally reaches the brutal front lines.
Here, our visual vocabulary becomes incredibly sharp, forceful, and strictly focused on the tools of war. Our primary action here is gong di. First tone gong, second tone di, attack the enemy. Say it sharply. Gong di. This is the violent reality of the clash she has been training for.
Notice the action in Gong Di. I want you to focus entirely on the right side of the character Gong. Do you see it? That radical is the universal symbol for striking. It literally depicts a hand holding a stick or a weapon. It's built right inside the character to absolutely cement your visual memory of force and combat.
Let's expand on this battlefield vocabulary just a bit more. When going to the battlefield, 上战场, look at the character for war, 战. It contains the radical for a halberd or a spear. Where spears cross, there is war. Right next to it is defeating enemy troops, 败敌兵. The character bai shows that striking hand again, but this time it's striking at a shell, which in ancient times represented resources or money. Striking their resources leads to defeat. Now contrast all that dark imagery with achieving victory, 得胜. Look at the breakdown of 胜. On the left is the radical for flesh or the body, indicating physical strength, blood, and effort. And on the right is the symbol for life or rising up. Victory is literally flesh rising up from the effort. How cool is that?
Next up is Part 4, a triumphant return, rejecting wealth for home.
The war is finally over. The emperor recognizes Mulan's incredible achievements and offers her immense, unimaginable rewards. But her response teaches us everything about her true character. Mulan's singular focus is simply 故乡, fourth tone, first tone, hometown. This is the warmth, the peace, and the family she has been fighting for this entire time.
The crucial point here is what she's offered versus what she actually chooses. She is offered jin yin, gold and silver. Spot the metal radical on the left side of both those characters. If you see that, the word is almost always related to metal, money, or weapons. She's offered the supreme title of general, Jiangjun, but she rejects all this wealth and status. Instead, she chooses to return to her simple life, to the common people. The word for that is bai xing. Literally translated, it means 100 surnames, representing all the everyday citizens of the nation who come out to welcome her back.
And finally, Part 5, the ultimate hero, Mulan's legacy.
This brings us to the proud culmination of her legendary story, and honestly, the most important vocabulary of our entire masterclass. This is the ultimate four-character summary of Mulan's life, Bao Giao Wei Guo. Third, first, fourth, second tone. Protect home and defend country. Say it with the deep reverence it deserves.
I absolutely love the visual anatomy of this next word. Because of her actions, Mulan is immortalized as a Ying Xiong, a hero. The first character, Ying, features that grass radical on top again. Originally, it meant a beautiful flower or an outstanding talent. The second character, Xiong, means male or masculine. Put them together, and the combination of outstanding beauty and masculine traits entirely transcends gender. It becomes the ultimate universal symbol for a hero who protects the nation.
So, tracing Mulan's geographical and emotional path today, from taking up arms to endure qi ku, braving the feng chui yudai in her junzhuang, surviving the front line to gong di, and finally rejecting the gold to return to her gushang and her people. Class, by attaching these words to her story, you haven't just memorized 20 vocabulary words today, you have actually lived them through the very visual anatomy of the language itself.
I want to leave you all with this final question. As bilingual Singaporeans, you carry your own unique responsibilities to your families and your nation. So how will you channel this legendary devotion, this ability to eat bitterness, and this spirit of Bao Jia Wei Guo in your modern, everyday lives? Think about the visuals we learned today. Let them stick in your mind, and let Mulan's story inspire your own. Thank you so much for joining my masterclass, and I will see you all next time.